that is poisoning our country, our youth.
Don't be scared. All eyes are on you.
Be the echo of people in Iran, whatever they need.
This government is as good as anything.
We shouldn't give up.
This is a process that has been happening for a long time.
We're just so proud of every person.
Durud bar Shoma, awesome people. Welcome to the second episode of Countdown to Freedom in Iran. On behalf of our entire Unite and Conquer family, we appreciate you joining us for this weekly series that we've created to do what? To amplify the voices of Iranians fighting for freedom in our motherland. We greatly appreciate you joining us for this special program. Tonight's special guest is going to be the one and only Elica Le Bon. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great conversation as we get to go a few layers deep into who this incredible woman is that for the last 4 months has been using her social media platform, her creative way of sharing, storytelling, and breaking down things that have to do with Iran, and just get to know her as a person. We greatly appreciate her as Iranians for everything she's been doing the last 4 months. And so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great, great segment. We have a lot of good segments to go. But you know what? This program cannot start unless we start with playing homage to our incredible national anthem. So please enjoy Iran, and we'll come back and we'll have the show officially start.
پرگوهر ای خاکت سر چشمه هنر دور از تو اندیشه بدا آینده ما نیک و جاودان ای دشمن ار تو سنگ خاره ای من آهنم جان من فدای خاک پاک میهنم مهرت وطن شد پیشم دور از تو نیست اندیشم در راه تو کی ارزشی دارد این جان ما پاینده با خاک ایران ما در راه تو کی ارزشی دارد این جان ما پاینده با خاک ایران ما. بهتر از زر است مهرت از دل کی برون کنم برگو بی مهر تو چون کنم گردش جهان و دور آسمان بباز نور ایزدی همیشه رهنمای ماست مهرت وطن شد پیشم دور از تو نیست اندیشم در راه تو کی ارزشی دارد این جان ما پاینده با خاک ایران ما در راه تو کی ارزشی دارد این جان ما پاینده با خاک ایران ما.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Countdown. It's impossible to watch that and not get goosebumps. And rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, that very soon we're going to be able to go experience that part of Iran in person. Mark my words. My gut is that it'll be in 2023. So let's continue to fight this fight and bring freedom to Iran. And the best way to bring freedom to Iran is to be on top of all the news and updates. And there's one queen bee of news and updates that we have as a uniter here, and that is through Paris Mansouri. So, our intent with these segments is to get a quick overview of what is, making news. And she's definitely one of those people that is always on top of it. So grateful to have her, not just as somebody who's going to share the news and updates, but as a uniter that spends her time with so much love and passion for the country to help us out and just be a great friend and family member of the Uniters. She's worked as a TV, radio, and print journalist and producer for over 20 years and is lending her support in producing this program. And so I'm happy to have her on. Please help me welcome the one and only Paris Mansouri.
Iman, thank you so much for that intro. It's honestly a privilege to be among the Uniters. You have really assembled an incredible group of people. So thank you for that lovely intro, and I'll do my best to live up to it.
Of course, you always have and you always will. I've known you since 2008, if I'm not mistaken. They're in the Doha, Qatar days. So this friendship goes long and deep, and I'm very grateful for it. We're on day 130. Let's jump right into it. Last week, the European Parliament voted in favor of listing the IRGC as a terrorist organization. What has happened since?
So the Parliament voted in favor, but unfortunately, the EU itself, the 27-nation bloc, has not. They will not be listing Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization. Josep Borrell, he is the foreign policy chief over at the EU, and he says that in order to list the IRCG as a terrorist organization, a member state has to pass a ruling condemning the IRCG for terrorist acts. That hasn't happened, and therefore they say they can't move forward with it. They are, however, saying that they are imposing new sanctions on the IRCG, basically Iranian officials and organizations, and basically those affected are government ministers, military officers, and Iran's morality police.
And like, as far as like the JCPOA conversation, where does that kind of tie into all this, if at all?
Apparently, it's still an option. So the JCPOA will provide the Islamic regime with a lifeline if the agreement goes through. There has been a massive push to get the JCPOA off the table, but the EU says that it's not completely, they haven't walked away from it. Essentially, the Biden administration has been criticized for not walking away from it officially. They say that they're not taking part in any active conversations about it. But this week, Iran's news agency, Mehr news agency, has says that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is actually going to Israel next week. And apparently JCPOA talks are on the table, and that's according to Iranian sources.
So obviously things aren't going exactly how we would ideally like for them to go. What are some of the action items that we should be looking into to make sure that we get the attention of the world and these leaders?
Look, number one is continuing the conversation. All activism, all conversation should be continuing. We should really be keeping this at the forefront. I know there's still cities and organizations that are planning protests, and there are large ones being organized for February 11th, which is Bisodoe Bahman. The cities right now that are taking part around the world, there's several in the US, around the world, it's Düsseldorf, London, Montreal, Toronto, Washington, and Sydney. But honestly, if your city is not on the list of those participating, please look into it. And nothing is stopping you. And obviously, you can contact Iman or check the Instagram account of @Let'sUniteAndConquer and see how we can help support you keep this moment alive and this movement going. The other thing is, this is for our American viewers. Some activists are highlighting the Mahsa Act. This is a bill that needs bipartisan support in order to not die, essentially. Some activists say that this is really the best chance to move forward the Iran agenda, and basically that this bill needs support. And that one activist who's really bringing forward and bringing to light the issues that the Mahsa Act highlights is actually Mahsa Townsend. She is a friend of the show, a friend of the program. And if anybody wants to learn more about the Mahsa Act, and if you're American and you want to know what you can be doing, what the Mahsa Act is about, I would highly suggest to follow her Instagram account. So if you head over to Mahsa_Townsend, you'll learn all about it.
Or just watch our first episode, and she'll give you all the information. But a couple of things I want to just kind of add to what you just said. You can go ahead and add South Florida and Miami to that list of cities. And Sareh later on is going to talk about not just what we have going on in South Florida this Saturday, January 28th, but definitely we have February 11th on our calendar. For those who don't know the significance of Bisodoe Bahman, February 11th, could you just give a little short thing about what is 22 بهمن.
Absolutely. It's basically a day that marks our history, and it's a day that, depending on who you are, you may celebrate it, and depending on who you are, you may lament it, but it's something that we want to mark, and hopefully it's a day that we can put into history in a new way.
Yeah, lament is definitely the word for me personally, and I hope that everybody watching here is lamenting, and whoever is celebrating it, mark my words, this is the last time that you're going to be celebrating 22 بهمن. I really hope that this will age well next year, but let's see. We're going to make it happen, everybody. All right, so what are the hashtags that we're following this week and should be using? We've really realized how impactful this pressure on social media is, and it all starts with these freaking hashtags. They seem to work. So what are we focusing on this week?
Absolutely. So there is going to be some good news in this segment. So stay tuned to the end to see how this hashtag movement has helped an individual. But first up, hashtag IRCG terrorists. We don't care what the EU said. We are still going to be using that hashtag as much as possible on every
IRGC, sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah. What did I say? IRGC terrorists.
Yeah, just want to clarify. We can't mess up that hashtag.
Absolutely not. IRGC terrorists. The next one, unfortunately, we have a compatriot. His name is Majid Kazemi. He's been sentenced to death. Please be using his hashtag. And again, we are mentioning hashtags, but we fully realize that we can't get to everyone. We fully realize there are individuals who are taken in custody, who've gone missing, who we don't know. So with respect to all of those individuals, please know that we're not saying that this list is conclusive and final on any level. The other individual we want to highlight is Majid Imamvardi. He's a law student at Tehran University. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Armita Abbasi, we've seen her name, for months and months. Many of us know her plight and basically the torture that she has suffered. She's been denied a lawyer, and basically her lawyer has been denied access to her. So she is going to court without any representation. Please use her hashtag Armita Abbasi. And then finally, in good news, Mohammad Ghobarlu, who had been sentenced to death, the Supreme Court has said that they've accepted their appeal and they're basically going to have a retrial. So hopefully better news is to come. And the hashtag that we should continue using, obviously, hashtag Tumaj Salehi, hashtag Saman Yasin, hashtag Elahe Mohammadi, Nilufar Hamedi, who broke the news of Mahsa Amini. Of course, Mahsa Amini is a hashtag that we'll forever use on this revolution. And finally, Iran Revolution.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all these news and updates, Parachute. And once again, thank you for everything you do for Countdown. We appreciate you. Much love. Stay tuned for next week, ladies and gentlemen. Paris is going to come back and let us know what kind of progress we're making. Shab Khosh, Paris. Take care.
Good night.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, from one awesome uniter to another, my next guest is a licensed clinical social worker. She just launched this new initiative. It's called the Omid Project for Iran. You should definitely follow that on Instagram. And it's my pleasure to help welcome her in a few seconds. But let me just give a little background about her. Shahla is a licensed clinical social worker that holds active licenses in Arizona, Florida, New Jersey, New York, and Virginia, and holds 2 master's degrees. She's a licensed creative arts therapist and holds her 2nd master's in clinical social work, and has worked over a decade with domestic violence survivors, supporting children, adolescents, and adults with recovery from complex post-traumatic stress. Please help me welcome the one and only Shahla Nikpour. And there she is with the audio connecting in 3, 2, 1. Hi, Shahla June.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. First of all, as always, thank you for everything you do as a uniter. You've blessed our entire community with everything that you've been doing to bring people some hope, some happiness, some direction, some guidance, even though you've been battling so many of the things that all of us are doing on a regular basis. So much love for everything you're doing for us. Let's jump right into it. Our time is limited. What is the Omid Project for Iran that you've been working so tirelessly on the last couple of months?
Great question. So, when the revolution began, I definitely was aware of my mental health issues and, absorbing all of this traumatic, things that we were seeing on the news, and then just watching our peers. We've been doing a lot of protesting. And so I think it was really important to come together and really address the mental health component of this, and that this revolution is going to be so long that we have to be in our best mental state. And so, I think with mental health in the Iranian diaspora and people in Iran, there's a lack of accessibility right now. There's a lot of stigma about mental health issues. and a lot of people are suffering in silence. So the idea was to come together and find clinicians, mental health providers in our community that understand historically what we're going through and emotionally, and create a social media handle where the people in Iran and the people in the Iranian diaspora can access some just readily available psychological first aid tools, get connected to a clinician in their area if they need to, understand the warning signs if they're feeling like their depression is becoming unmanageable, understanding how our symptoms are going to be manifesting in very different ways. So we've been able to build a community of mental health professionals from all over the world, to be honest, and we're creating content that we hope really speaks meaningfully to the people in Iran, as well as our people in the diaspora, because we're really struggling right now.
First of all, thank you for everything you're doing with the Omid Project. For those of you not following Shahla's Instagram, Phoenix Thriving Therapy, honestly, Shahla, I'm not just saying this because you're a uniter and you're here. Like, the content you put out, it really speaks deeply to a lot of people, and I appreciate it very much. So if you don't follow Phoenix Thriving Therapy, please do. Really impactful information she's putting out there. Where did the name, like the Omid Project, where did that come up from, by the way? I'm very curious.
Well, I mean, the word for hope, is Omid, and we want to, try to instill some hope. I know that for me, I felt hopeless at times with watching what's happening in Iran. And, obviously what Paris June just talked about with the European Parliament and, these disconnects where we feel like we're making progress and then we feel like there's these barriers. And so, the idea is to instill hope and also just get our message to the people in Iran that we're listening. We see them and we want them to know that we're trying to hold space for them. I know it's hard virtually, but we are seeing them. So, we want to instill hope for people and, again, just destigmatize this. We're going through a lot. We want people to be able to go onto our social media and just feel like, yes, that speaks to me. And I have to shout out all of the people in this community, the mental health providers that have joined these meetings. They're the ones that are writing the content. So it's a collaborative effort. People have expertise in, trauma, meditation, yoga, wellness, holistic therapy. So it's a group, created content, which is, I think, really beautiful too. Everyone's bringing their niche to this. So I can't wait to see what blossoms out of this. And I hope it helps, as many people as it can.
Well, this, genuinely, it warms my heart because this is unite and conquer mentality, and you put together a group of people that are experts like you in your field, and you're trying to help other people. It's amazing. It's inspiring. I can't wait to see just the success stories that are going to come from what you're doing. Where can people find out more about all of all that you're doing, or how they can support you guys?
So we do have the social media handle for Instagram. It's the Omid Project for Iran. It also, you can access my social media handle. Again, if you need that, we'll put that in the chat as well. Please just, come on. And we just launched it last week, but we're getting a lot of traffic, which is good. And if people want to contribute, if you're a mental health provider, you don't have to be Iranian necessarily, but understand what trauma does. Please join us. We need your help. And we want to, expand this to doing more events, doing panels where we can speak openly and share our feelings. And again, just connect people in their communities.
And I know you even have Afsan, and I apologize to her for not remembering her last name, but she's been doing some incredible content. So you guys have some powerhouse people on here. What's Afsan's last name?
It's Shafi, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
She's amazing.
She's been unbelievable, and so you have a bunch of all-stars coming together, doing a lot of great impact. And I just want to take a moment to speak directly to anybody that feels that they're alone during this really, really difficult time that we're going through. People like Shahla that are, collaborating, people like Afsana and so many other professionals. This is exactly why they exist. They're here to give you this hope, to give you this Omid. Please just check them out, follow them, and I have no doubt that you're going to be right back on track with the confidence that you need to take on every single one of these tough days. And we're all here for you. We're all one big family. The fact that you watch this program, you're part of the Unite and Conquer family, and you're never alone. Shahla, thank you so much for everything you guys are doing. Much love to you, and we can't wait to have you back on very soon to give us more update and just mental health minutes that you're so good at doing. So thank you so much. Shab khosh.
Thank you, Iman.
All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was Shahla Nikpour. Now, we're not going to go to another uniter, but she is a uniter in my heart. It is my mother. It is Mahin Huschmand. She's going to be doing her Persian poetry pause a couple of times in the South Florida protest. She's gone and she's done some improvisation poetry as something she's been doing as a labor of love. She's been a Persian wedding officiant. So she's done over 150 or so Persian weddings, Iranian weddings, officiating them. And it's been beautiful to have her essentially share her love for love with the younger generation of couples. And she's joining us again this evening to give us another one of her awesome poems. And she told me that this one's a surprise. So let's see what it is. Please help me welcome Mahin Huschmand. In 3, 2, 1. And there's that lag in audio connection that we want to always avoid. We're waiting. We're waiting. Oh, there it is. Mahin خانم درود بر شما.
درود بر شما و درود به تمام بینندگان محترم شما. ممنون که از این 2 مرتبه من در خدمت هستم.
Of course.
همطور که دفعه قبلم گفتم ما در این بره زمانی بیش از همیشه احتیاج داریم که امیدوار باشیم و خوشحال باشیم. بیم و امید همیشه با ما هست. هم همیشه نگران هستیم و میترسیم، هم خوشحالیم و امیدواریم. حال من باز میخوام از دید خوشحالی و امیدواری حرف بزنم و اون اینه که الان که جوانای عزیز ما، دختر پسرای عزیز ما در بند این جنایتکاران هستن، ما میتونیم که براشون کمی خیال پردازی کنیم، رویا پردازی بکنیم و هیچ دلیل نداره که این رویاهای ما انجام نشه. من فکر میکنم شاید برای کسایی که نمیدونن، من الان چند ساله که این شانس دارم و افتخار این داشتم که مراسم پیوند ازدواج به شیوه ایران باستان انجام بدم و در این برنامه ها اشعار شعرهای گرامیمون رو خوندم. حال من برای این دختر پسرای عزیزی که در زندان هستن و من امیدوارم هر چه زودتر از این زندان بیام بیرون و همه‌شون به خونه بخت برم، ما به هر حال میتونیم این رویا رو داشته باشیم و دلمون رو خوش کنیم که این رویای ما انجام میشه و دلیلی هم نداره که انجام نشه. من یکی از اشعاری که در برنامه‌های به اصطلاح عقد به شیوه باستان که انجام میدم خوندم، یه قطعه از مولانا که این بسیار دوست دارم و به این امید هستم که اونا که عروسی میگیرن، اگر من شانس داشته باشم خدمتشون باشم، اگر نه به یاد ما این اشعار در عروسیشون خوانده بشه. مولانا فرمود مبارک باد بر ما این عروسی، خجسته باد ما را این عروسی، چو شیر و چون شکر بادا همیشه، چو صحباب و چو حلوا این عروسی، چو از برگ و هم از میوه ممتع، مثال نخل خرما این عروسی، چو حوران بهشتی باد خندان، ابد امروز فردا این عروسی، نشان رحمت و توقی دولت، همین جا و همان جا این عروسی، نکونام و نکوروی و نکوفا، چو ماه و چرخ خضرا این عروسی. مبارکشون باشه.
All right. Thank you so much. So the topic of today is definitely Omid and hope, and that was beautiful.
دقیقاً ما برای همه عروس دامادای که در ایران هستن آرزوی خوشبختی داریم براشون.
I love that. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, if anybody would like to follow my mom's Instagram page, it's at Persian Ceremony Officiant. Shab Khosh Marjan. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, after this next segment, we're going to have our special guest, Elica Le Bon. But right now, we're going to invite one of our uniters, and she's going to be giving us a little bit of an update of what's happening in South Florida. As you may or may not know, for the last 4 months, next to these incredible individuals that are collectively known as uniters, we have been organizing, I think, almost 20 or so protests or demonstrations or some type of initiatives that are bringing awareness to what's happening in South Florida. And they could not have been done, especially without the leadership of this individual, Sareh Kazemi. So every week, she's going to be providing us with updates on what's happening on the ground here in South Florida. And perhaps by hearing about what's going on in South Florida, you might be inclined to be more involved and provide some ideas of what to do in your city. So please help me welcome Sareh Kazemi. We're waiting for Sareh to get on. Can we get Sareh, please? Hamijan, just, oh, there she is. All right. All right, no, we're good. Thank you so much. All right, Sareh joining, just the audio was delayed. So let's go. Sareh Kazemi.
Hi, Iman. My video is loading here for you, but I'm on.
Oh, there you go. Just a little bit of lag, no problem. How are you? Good to see you.
Well, good to see you. Thanks for having me again.
You're wearing that new sweater, the community. I love
it. That's right. I have to.
Excellent. I like it a lot.
Thanks for calling that out, Iman. You stole my thunder, but I'll let you have it. That's
yeah, I got excited. I'm telling you that the theme for today is Omid, hope, and it's unity. And Elica definitely knows about unity a lot. She had a great post today about unity. So I just love it how you brought it even more to the forefront. So let's get right into it, girl. What's going on? What's happening this Saturday? What do we have in the pipeline?
We have a lot coming up in store because we're not stopping, and we recognize the importance of community and making sure that South Florida is on the map. You know, we recognize we don't have the large Iranian community down here as compared to some of the other cities, but that doesn't matter. There is a need constantly to have both the awareness aspect of it, the action aspect of it, and through Countdown and our local event planning, we hope to achieve both of those. So we definitely are not stopping and have a few things to share with you tonight. As Iman mentioned earlier, this Saturday at Torch of Friendship at 3:30, we want to bring full focus to stopping the executions in Iran. We will have a limited number of signs that will be there so that there is a very clear message to anyone that's passing and the community as a whole that is our focus there. For anyone who's attended our rallies in the past, you know that we have always had like full-fledged programming. This one is going to be a little bit different. It's a no-nonsense, straight-up protest where we're there to chant, play inspirational music, and most of our chants we're hoping to have in English so that we can really make sure those around us understand why we're there. And one thing we've done a little bit differently in our social media tagging is I've been asking everyone, if you're sharing our flyer for this Saturday and for any of them moving forward, please tag our local news agencies. And certainly if you have contacts, do us all a favor and reach out to them. The more exposure we can get, the better, because every single person who learns about what's going on in Iran is a new opportunity, and we can't stop, essentially. We need to keep this in the forefront, and we're going to do our part in South Florida. So again, the flyers are available on all of our Instagram handles. You can find them, but the details are Stop the Execution in Iran Rally, Torch of Friendship, which is on 301 Biscayne Boulevard in Miami, Florida, at 3:30 this Saturday. So that's one. As everyone has been mentioning, obviously Bisadoe Bahman, which falls on February 11th, is 2 weekends. So not the next one, but the one after on Saturday. And again, we will be at Torch of Friendship. We have secured our permit for the next couple of Saturdays so that we can make sure that we're planning and programming to have a full-fledged presence, clearly demonstrating the anti-Islamic regime sentiment of that rally. We are not there to celebrate the anniversary of the revolution. We are there to fully show our support of this 2022-2023 revolution against the Islamic regime and the voice of the people who are desperately working, fighting for regime change in Iran. So more details to come. On Saturday, we will be sharing more information regarding programming and the flyers relative to February 11th. But just as a heads up, we do have that a permit secured for Torch of Friendship, again, 3:30 on February 11th. So look out for more details relative to that. Miami and South Florida will be part of that main movement that you've been hearing about on social media. And then we do have several other initiatives that are coming up that are earlier in development, but certainly we recognize that in March we have the International Day of Women, and we want to definitely highlight the the tremendous bravery of the Iranian women and make sure that we bring them to the forefront of that recognition in any way that we can. So more details regarding date, time, and the actual logistics of our local event will be shared soon, but just know that that's underway and we're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, we're definitely not taking off the pedal off the metal, clearly. So that's great, Sarah. That's awesome. I'm glad to be back at Torch.
Message, Iman. Is that okay?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, of course.
Message to the Uniters and anyone that's listening to our live stream or who listens to this live stream moving forward. You know, I've worked out and specifically lifted weights for a very, very long time. And over these last several years that I've been doing this, I've learned that my most significant gains, as we call it, comes on those last reps when you know you can't do anymore. When you've hit fatigue, when you're feeling like I can't do one more, it's in that last one more that you get your most gain. So I know everyone is fatigued. I know that everyone feels tired. I know that everyone is starting to feel like this is taking longer than we expected and you don't have the same fire. But it's now that you have to put the pedal on the metal. It's now that you have to keep going. It's now that you get your most gain. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying it, but please don't let the fire die. We need to keep going. It has to happen. It will happen, but we need everyone to stay motivated.
That's a great analogy, and a lot of inspirational words by our inspirational leader. Thank you so much, Sarah June. Looking forward to this Saturday, 3:30 p.m. It's so great to be back at Torch of Friendship and chant and be amongst the South Florida community. So if you're in South Florida, please stand up, please show out, please spread the word. Thank you, Sarah June. See you hopefully next Wednesday. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Omid Azadi.
Let's go. Omid Azadi for sure. All right, so really appreciative of everything that Sareh and Mona Haighi and so many of our Uniter leaders are doing to keep this nucleus alive and keep the momentum going. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, is an opportunity for me to highlight not just one of our amazing Uniters. As you can tell, we're blessed to have a lot of awesome people around us. But in this case, our Uniter is also one of our sponsors of this program. And, you know, there's so many people involved in doing this pre-production, during production, post at let'suniteandconquer.com. Rebecca Sherry Eshraghi has blessed us to do, which is why I want to give her a few minutes to not just share a little bit more about her business, but also why she decided to support Countdown to Freedom Iran and Unite and Conquer in general. So please help me welcome Dr. Eshraghi, who is a board-certified doctor in natural medicine, over 10 years experience helping her clients achieve optimal health. I'll let her share more about her. So please help me welcome this lovely lady. And there she is in 3, 2, 1. So please help me welcome. Hi, Sherry. Please make sure you turn off the YouTube channel. It's I'm getting feedback, so please turn that off.
Sorry, yes, I did already. Hi.
All right, how are you doing? Durud?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for supporting this program, for everything you do as a Uniter, and always being present at every single meeting, every single protest. I'm sure we'll see you on Saturday. There's two things I'd like to accomplish in the next few minutes. One is Tell us what it is that you do at Natural Power Health Works, Natural Health Power Works, and also why you decided to support what we're doing here at Countdown.
I gladly support you guys here. First of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my practice. It's an online practice where I practice natural medicine. I'm also a microbiome researcher. So what I do falls into the category of functional medicine and holistic medicine, preventative medicine. And just to explain, we just published a book called Gut-Brain Connection, Myth or Reality: The Role of the Microbiome in Health and Disease. So for those who don't know what the microbiome is, it's all the bacteria that inhibits our bodies, on our bodies, and inside our bodies. And the majority of our bacteria, the good and the bad, is in our gut. So when that goes out of balance, it triggers all kinds of chronic diseases that we're dealing with right now. It starts often with low-grade inflammation, and then it can lead to autoimmune disease. It can lead to cancer. It can lead to neurological disease such as Alzheimer's, autism, MS, and even depression, anxiety, migraines. A lot of these diseases can be traced down to your microbiome, and you have lots of control over it via nutrition and lifestyle. And that's what I do with my clients. And since COVID, I've gone fully online, telehealth via Zoom. That way I can see everybody globally and consult with them. And I ordered tests for example, heavy metal testings or food allergy tests, intolerances, metabolic disease, all kinds of testing. And upon that, I create individualized protocols for each client and coach them through the process of achieving the health they need.
So basically, we can come to you to a major tune-up of seeing what's going on and how to fix it, and you're going to guide us through better gut, better health.
Exactly.
I love it. All right, and how can people reach you and schedule like a consultation or just however way it is that they can contact you?
They can send me an email. They can go on my website, and there's a contact list. They can send there. They can call me. So my website is naturalhealthpowerworks.com. And Instagram page is at naturalhealthworkspower. So that's the easiest way to contact me.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure in the YouTube links, both the full video and your segment, to have all this information. I think now more than ever, we really need to make sure that we take care of our health, body, mind, soul. And it seems like you kind of do a little bit of everything.
I do holistic, all of
that's
it.
Really, that's really incredible. In the next couple minutes that we have, if you don't mind just sharing, because we obviously need a lot of support for this type of programming. Why did you decide to step up and do this and just be a uniter?
Yeah. First of all, when all this happened in Iran, my wish was to do something. And then I heard about you mobilizing South Floridians and starting the first protest in Miami. But what attracted me mostly to your message was that you said that this group, Unite and Conquer, is not affiliated with any political party, and it's not affiliated with any religious organization, and it just serves to amplify the voices of the oppressed in Iran and the human rights violations happening in Iran for so long. So that was what I really liked about this organization. And another thing that I love, which you said is the topic today, is that it's called Unite and Conquer. I mean, definitely unity is the number one goal we have to have in order to achieve anything. But unity cannot just be achieved by wishful thinking. It's not just an empty buzzword. I mean, it really requires hard work of every individual to look at their motives. So their virtues and characteristics that are helpful for creating unity, and their characteristics that can destroy unity. I mean, for example, if you start backbiting, if you have prejudice, if you operate via your ego mode, wanting to get something out of this personally, dishonesty, all that can create division. So that's one thing. But what can help, for example, to create more unity, and that's what we all Iranians have to strive for, is the humble posture of learning. So with humility and listening to each other, because we will always be different, we all have backgrounds, but with humility, love, we can listen to each other and learn from each other and grow and get better, which I think the uniters are doing. Look at us. We have to exemplify what we want to see in Iran. And I feel like we have started that, and we need to do it the best way we can.
Amazing words by our very wonderful and wisdom-filled Sherry Eshraghi. Thank you so much for everything and the kind words, and also leading us into our next guest that focuses on unity so much. So thank you so much,
Can't
Sherry.
wait to hear her.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Before we welcome Elica Le Bon, there's this video that I would like to play. And back, for those of you who joined for the 11/11 live stream rally for Iran, a 12-hour program with which Elica actually was a part of as well. Inside the studio, we have my dear friends Shahin Baratpour and his fellow colleagues, Pendar Kornavasi, that they grace the stage alongside Mandana. Oh my God, I forgot her last name. She's going to kill me for this. But they performed and it was beautiful. And they made this video that Shahin wanted to share with us to share. So no one's actually seen this video before. And it's called La 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 La, No More Lullabies. And the lyrics and music is by Shahla Qambari. So we're going to watch this 3-minute performance that the vocals are by Pendar Kornavasi and guitars are my friend Baratpour and Ramin Arad, and on drums, my longtime friend Shahla Tebianian. So watch this program, and in 3 minutes, we welcome our guest of honor, Elica Le Bon. Thank you so much, Elica, for being patient. We're running a little behind, but as they say, all good things come to those who wait. We'll be right back.
لا 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 دیگه بسه گل لاله بهار سرخ امسال مثل هر ساله هنوزم تیر و ترکش قلبو میشناسه هنوز شب زیر سرب و چکمه میناله نخواب آروم گله بیخار و بیکینه نمیبینی نشسته گله تو سینه آخه بارون که نیست رگبار باروته سزای عاشقای خوب ما اینه نترس از گوله دشمن گل لادن که پوست شیر پوست سرزمین من اجاق گرم سرمای شب سنگر دلیل تا سفید رفتن و رفتن که خون از شب سرازیره بخون وقتی که خوندن معصیت باره بخون با من بیا تا من نگو دیره سکوت شیشه های شب غمی داره ولی خشم تو مشت محکمی داره عزیز جمعه های عشق و آزادی کلاغ پروازی با تو عالمی جمعه های عشق و آزادی کلاغ پروازی با تو عالمی داره
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Countdown. I hope you enjoyed that special performance, and I'm very grateful for my dear friend Shahina Barakpour for giving us this first sneak peek video before it's even being posted anywhere. Incredible performance. I want to give a shout out again to the lyrics and music by the legendary Shahyar Qambari, vocals by Pendar Khord Navasi, guitarist, of course, Shaheen himself, and Ramin Arad, drums by Shahram Tebianian. And that the place that you see, the video footage, that's where we've had some great jam sessions many times before with some incredible musicians. And I was a person who had absolutely no talents, just sitting there and filming. So Shaheen, I can't wait to be back in the basement and just jam along and enjoy some tequila shots with you and Natalie and the rest of the gang. And don't forget, musicians, we greatly appreciate all you do in the artistic world, the musical world. Keep on using your musical talents to bring awareness to what's happening inside of Iran. Much love. Hashtag free too much. And it's time to welcome my guest of honor. She's not only a lawyer and an activist, but one of the Iranian diaspora's premier content creators. Her name is Elica Le Bon. You know her from TikTok and Instagram. Her videos have gone viral because of their informative content, as much as for the passion and vulnerability shared with them, or in them, actually. Elica educates us, she ignites us, and makes sense of issues that many try to complicate. We're so happy she agreed to join us tonight so we can get to know her a little better, to get some tips and tricks, and to also get her take on what we as a community can be doing better in this revolution. The central focus of tonight has been unity, unity, unity. She had a great post even today about unity. And without any further ado, please help me welcome the one and only Elica Le Bon. Hi, Elica Jun, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. By the way, did I pronounce the last name correctly? I should have asked you this while we were talking.
Absolutely. It's good.
It is? Okay, yeah. Wonderful. Well, listen, we were actually just chatting about this a couple of days ago about how, like, when I was Googling you up, I saw like musical artists, and I was like, I was today years old when I found out you're a musical artist. And then we had this back and forth about how, like, we know each other from our activism, but, you know, many of us have a whole identity other than our activism. So before we get into the Iranian Revolution and what you've been doing, which is incredible, who was Elica prior to September 2022? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because, you know, like you said, we all know each other through activism. And then when you start to kind of dig a little bit deeper, you start to realize there's so much talent in the Iranian community, you know, like even the people I follow, you know, when I see like glimmers of what they actually do, I'm like, oh, you guys are like professionals, talented people, musicians, artists, whatever. So that's definitely alarming because you're just like, how did I not know this? So yeah, before that, I mean, I was always an activist. I was always a very, very hands-on activist, but it was just not Iran content until, well, I mean, not really until the revolution. So I was doing it on my TikTok, like a lot of activism on my TikTok, like daily, but just like different content. And obviously I've been a lawyer. And then before that, yeah, I was doing music. I made an album, which I wrote and produced and sang. And I put that out, like, it was just crazy. It's been nonstop for like the last 10 years. I put out an album on, it was like Friday, I finished my album. And then Monday I started law school. And then I did law school and then I graduated. And then I was just like doing lawyer and activist and then the revolution. And I basically haven't slept since I was born.
Wait. Wait, so I'm very curious, like not too many people, they start a musical career and also law school at the same time. Like, were you just one of those Iranians who, like, maybe your parents were trying to make you become a lawyer, but deep down you really wanted to be an artist? Or did you have equal love and passion for both and you're just a badass who made it both happen?
No, so I had come to LA a couple of times, and I'd met some friends here, and they all told me, like, you have to go to law school, you have to go to law school, you'd be so great. But I was doing music, so I was like, nah. And then I kind of got like really hot and heavy into like law and politics and everything. So I decided, like, I stupidly thought that I was going to go to law school and like focus on that part-time and then do music at the same time. But then when I went to law school, it's like it's more than full-time. It's like 70 hours a week. And I kind of fell in love with it. So I got distracted and I put music on the back burner. So that was kind of my own fault. But obviously, like my love for music.
Well, you definitely brought it back to the front burner with the rap that you released a couple of days ago, which completely caught me off guard. Like, I saw the rap video before I saw the Google, then it clicked. But okay, so you just mentioned that you've been nonstop since you were born. You were born in the UK, but like raised in the US, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I was raised in the UK.
Oh, you were raised over there. Okay, so
yeah, I've been here since 2015.
Since 2015. Okay, but the point is that you weren't living in something. You weren't living inside of Iran. So my question is, why are you so passionate about what's happening in Iran when you've spent so much of your life, if not all of it, outside of it?
Well, I think it's important to remember that me, like many others, have spent my life outside of Iran because of the regime that's there now, right? Like who I am, everything that I do, the language that I speak, the accent that I have is because of the Islamic Republic's hostile takeover of my motherland. Like, I shouldn't even be here right now. I should be in Iran. But because of, and this is the story for so many of us, right? Because of these, like, this illegitimate force occupying, our land, we're forced out into the diaspora. So the story is very, very personal to me and many others. Like, many of us would not be here but for the Islamic Republic. But I think also it's one of those things where it's just like, and of course, these are the same people that murdered my family, right? So that's something that I obviously care about with like a vengeance. But I think aside from that, it's like one of those things that you can't really explain. It's like a mother's like protective instinct over their child, right? It's like you can't explain what drives that instinct to like protect your child or your sibling or your best friend or whatever it is. It's just something that's there, and the motivation and drive for it, it's kind of inexplicable. It just is, No,
I understand. And so, you were probably very happy to see that millions of Iranians, were finally fighting and kicking and screaming for the same things that have been bothering you all these years of like what this regime stripped of us. Do you think, well, I guess what I want to know is what can we be doing even better as a community in this revolution so we reach the conclusion that we're all hoping for?
I think what we could be doing better is getting a little bit more organized. Like, we all have a lot of individual activism, which I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we all wake up every day and feel like, I want to talk about this today. I want to share this today. But it can be a little bit disorganized. So I think that a way that we can get our goals in the revolution met better and quicker is that, especially people with the larger accounts, kind of aligning goals, right? Like we did the IRGC terrorist thing, like, where everyone kind of shares the same content at the same time. Like, we need to get this hashtag trending, we need to do this, sharing the videos. I mean, we do to a certain extent, but I think more of that will get our goals achieved faster, especially when we know what our goals are, like being specific about what our goals are rather than just kind of like winging it daily.
Yeah, so I mean, this basically, the word unity is the one that's going to kind of like come to the forefront, that we basically just need to be more aligned, more communication, and just have more of strategy. Would you say that's kind of like the next best thing to do?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting about this concept about unity, because this is something that as Iranians we've struggled with for a long time. Like, this is not a new thing, right? And I think it's almost like, if you want to say like a spiritual kind of test for us, like we have this goal in mind, and the only way to get to this goal is through unity. Like, it really, really is only going to be achieved if we all stand behind this movement hand in hand together. And this is something that's been so hard for us to do throughout history. And so I feel like the test just keeps presenting itself to us, like the universal spiritual test. Like, can you do it? Like, if you really want your free Iran, can you put your differences aside? Can you go hand in hand? Can you be unified? Can you do it? And I don't know. I feel like we can, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, but remains to be seen.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Do you think that every Iranian has a duty and responsibility to be active during this revolution? What are your thoughts about that? Because there's some people that, you know, they've been sitting on the sidelines. How much of a responsibility is there for everyone?
I think it depends on who you are, how big your platform is. You know, I think like the obvious example of the Uber CEO is something that kind of grates on everyone, because here you have someone who has a huge platform, a multi-billion-dollar company, who not only, it's not someone that they can claim that they're like, you know, not politically active, because, you know, they speak about Ukraine all day on Twitter every day and raise money for Ukraine all the time, which is great. But when it comes to Iran, that person's country, they are silent. And I think that is a failure of a responsibility or an obligation to speak up for your country, you know. But on the other hand, I know that people have personal reasons for not, you know, being active. Like I have family members who, you know, their brothers, husbands, wives, children were executed by the Islamic Republic, and they just don't really want to think about it or even approach it or touch it. I know they view the content, but I think talking about the content is a little bit too much.
Traumatic, yeah.
It's too traumatic for some people. So I think it kind of depends on the circumstance as well.
I mean, like, I feel like this could be a long conversation about it, but it's like at some point we have to break this traumatic chain. It's like somebody has to like end it. Somebody has to face it so that we can end this terror that our people are going through. But I do try to be as sympathetic as possible to people who literally just cannot face these discussions. But speaking of like speaking up, you know, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the first people that pushed out this hashtag, say their names to save their lives. How did that begin? Are you one of the first people that kind of created that? Tell us the backstory behind it.
Okay, yeah. So I had noticed in 2020, I guess 3 years ago now, when the 3 young guys in Iran had been sentenced to death for protesting the gas prices. I remember at that time posting about that, and I remember a lot of people were posting about it because it was like crazy, even to like the international community. Like my friends were posting about it, like everyone was posting about it. They were like hashtagging and doing all of this stuff, and then I noticed that their death sentences were overturned, and they got life, right? And then the international community kept pushing, and then they commuted their sentence to 5 years, and that stuck in my mind. And then so when the revolution happened this time round, I remember thinking about it one day. I had seen the news that Elham Chubdar and Zahra Zendegi Hamedani had been sentenced to death for being LGBTQ persons. And I thought back to that time and I thought, this is something that we can repeat this, right? And so I made a video on TikTok, like basically explaining how this works. I was like, guys, this happened in 2020. We can do this again now. Say their names to save their lives. And I just made it a hashtag, and it just kind of like took off. And then like it got like millions of views, and it got shared by like, I mean, celebrities were sharing it. Like it really took off. And they did overturn Zahra's death sentence. So, and then we started to see over time that it was working with everyone else, Shervin, Hossein Ronaki, like person after person after person. And then people started coming forward telling their own stories. Like my dad was in prison for 10 years and we said his name and we saved his life. Like, so it started to prove true. And the more true it proved, the more we pushed the campaign.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have no doubt that a lot of lives have been saved because of the public pressure. So that's incredible you kickstarted. So just to kind of change gears a little bit. So we talked about how you're a lawyer and now have become what seems to be a full-time activist / content creator. How in the world do you balance this? Do you have like extra hours that we don't have? Like what are you doing professionally and activism wise?
I don't have an answer to it. Like I lose sleep. I don't have time for anything or anyone. Like I'm always on E the whole time. I have like no time, no energy. I like stay up even when I'm like doing one thing. If I'm in court, I'm like checking on stuff on my phone and putting stuff together, and at the same time thinking of ideas of what I need to talk about and taking screenshots here and then addressing the judge. And then like, you know, it's just chaos. It's chaos 24/7, and it's exhausting. And so I think that's one thing that people don't really realize about having a full-time job as an attorney, which is already extremely stressful job, and also being a full-time content creator, that, you know, sometimes the way that they approach you is a bit like, please not today, because I actually can't, like, I really cannot.
Have you had a situation where, like, in court, they're like, wait, aren't you the person that's like really outspoken about Iran? Like, have you had like the bleeding of like your content creation into your professional space? Has anything come up yet?
One person in court, one of the lawyers that I know from court did see me on TikTok. She was like, I watched your TikToks on Iran. And I was like, oh. But
nice.
I know that yeah, go ahead.
Educating the opposing counsel. Great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You were saying.
Exactly. Yeah, no, she wasn't even opposing counsel. She was defense attorney. So it didn't really do anything. But I don't know if it's like fully, I know that my TikToks, my legal TikToks, like, are in the courtroom, because people tell me, they're like, I share this with my lawyers and friends and judges and da. But I don't know about Iran content in the courtroom yet. We'll see.
What about, like, in general, like, are you ever concerned about the things that you're saying so publicly, so open, having it like impede in any way your professional stance?
Not really. You know, every profession has its own ethical guidelines. So as lawyers, we take 2 exams on ethics. One is in the bar exam, and one's a separate ethics exam that you take like the year before the bar exam. And we know, at least to a reasonable extent, you know, what the ethical, you know, guidelines are. So as long as you kind of stay within that, of course, we have freedom of speech. This is not the Islamic Republic of Iran.
That's right.
That's
right. So listen, obviously the way that you have shined in this revolution, as far as an Iranian content creator, is just leveraging social media, and you've done things incredibly where you've amassed a big audience. What are some like tips and tricks that you can share for creating content, considering right now outside of Iran, this is one of the best things that we can do? So if you can share some tips and tricks for those who are watching, even with smaller platforms, go ahead and share away.
Yeah, well, I kind of got a head start because I had started my TikTok platform about like 3 or 4 months before the Iran revolution, and it just like took off overnight. So through doing that, I was able to gauge like my audience and what works. Like, I was able to see like what videos are too long, what is too short, when is the conversation too highbrow that it's like I'm not able to communicate with the audience, they're misunderstanding what I'm saying, I'm not saying enough, I'm saying too much, da, 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 da. So the good thing was that I was able to practice like for a few months. It seemed almost fatalistic that I had that head start. So I think one of the best tips I could give is to kind of put your, first of all, for some reason the algorithm much prefers if you speak yourself, like your video, your face, instead of like writing, right? For some reason, I guess people just like to see humans, right? They like to see how you speak, your energy, your soul, like it comes through, you know? So first of all, get behind the camera. I know people get camera shy, but this is something that you get used to a couple of times doing it. Then, you know, start recording yourself and figure out how to edit, condense it down to the information that's really necessary. And that's hard because sometimes people don't realize that they're getting repetitive, or sometimes people don't realize that there's important information that they're missing out. So there needs to be a lot of practice in terms of how you're sharing and presenting the information, right? And then also getting familiar with like the length of your content and seeing like, is your video too long? Is your video too short? Are people, what types of topics work best? Do people prefer when you engage Iran in this way? Do they want to hear more about, you know, people's stories? Is it, do people need an understanding of something that's like a little bit confusing that they need a breakdown to explain it? So it's always about gauging, like reading the room with regards to the situation in Iran, and seeing like that tension between like, what do I need to talk about with regards to Iran today for this audience, and how do I talk about this in a way that it will be received? So yeah, I don't know if you got anything from that.
No, of course. So I'm very curious right now, because, you know, TikTok 2 years ago, it was like where first movers advantage, you were able to grow a massive audience very quickly. Right now, January 2023, TikTok and Instagram, is TikTok still kind of like a great place to pick up steam, or has
No.
it kind of like slowed down?
I have like permanent viewer suppression on my platform now, and I don't know if that's a coincidence ever since I started talking about Iran.
Well, it is run by the Chinese Communist Party, so it's a very good chance.
That's what I'm saying. And I know that like you get like these like IRI bots that like mass report your account and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I have like crazy like view suppression right now. I don't know if I'm going to get that back, to be honest. I may just have to kiss goodbye to that TikTok account. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent, but right now, I don't know, but I also see people say that this kind of happens with TikTok, like it goes up and down, it ebbs and flows. So maybe I've heard that's quite normal. But generally, if your account has no issues, like if you have no viewer suppression, if you're not shadow banned or whatever, I do think TikTok videos perform way better than Instagram, and apparently YouTube as well. Apparently YouTube does better than Instagram.
For long form, I believe for sure. I don't know how their shorts are doing, but definitely for longer form, I think YouTube, and then Instagram, I think just tries to copy TikTok and make it more conducive for short 60 to 90 seconds. I feel like it's built for people like you. I like to go my longer rants, so Instagram and TikTok are just not. Yeah, I need to work on condensing my words basically, but you've done an incredible job. So listen, I'd love to talk to you much longer. I want to close it on, once this revolution is successful, do you see yourself, or would you like to go back to Iran? And if so, what's the first thing that you would do? I always like to hear that from people.
So I would love to have an opportunity to be involved in the legal process of kind of reestablishing a legal system after the Islamic Republic is gone, working to draft the constitution, like making sure that all the rights, privileges, equalities that the people have been asking for, we get that in there. But of course, that would require me going to like some kind of law school in Iran and learning all of that. And
I don't know. I think considering what you've done for our country, I think they're gonna give you the green light. Well, yeah, just tell them, Iman, and I'll take care of it for you. Okay, just have your people contact my people. There's no way I'm gonna have you go through the whole legal process. Just put it in front of the line. She has earned her law degree in Iran for everything she's done to bring freedom to Iran. So yeah.
Well, I'll try that argument. I'll just be like, listen, just let me into the bar, whatever bar you have, our new bar, because it will be a new bar. You know what? I'll just create the bar and just put myself into it. How about that?
The only bar I want in Iran is one that has Jack and Coke, and I could enjoy dancing and celebrating with my fellow Iranians. But by the way, by answering that question, you can tell that your heart is in the legal world. I know you have a lot of talents and love for the musical part, but just by answering that, that's pretty amazing to see that you are 100% into this field of law and just equality and justice. And that's what makes you amazing, Elica. And I'm telling you, on behalf of millions of Iranians, we're eternally grateful for you spending so much of your valuable time and your heart and your soul to be the voice of Iranians. And so I just want to thank you for everything you do. Thank you for making time on Wednesday evening when I know you have so much other things that you could be doing, like making viral TikTok and Instagram videos. So appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course. Wish you all the best, and we'll be in touch, and can't wait to celebrate in Iran with you at a local bar.
I can't wait. Omid Azadi.
Omid Azadi. Take care. Good night, Azan. Bye-bye. Ciao. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation, just as I knew I would, and I hope you did as well. I hope you got to know her better as a human being. Really, it's incredible how some people are devoting so much of their life to bringing freedom to Iran. So continue to please support individuals like her. Give her the energy. One thing we didn't get a chance to talk too much about is just how exhausted she is. As you can tell, this is a nonstop energizer bunny, go-getter, and she's doing it all for Iran. So show her some love, send her some positive messages, give her the energy she needs. Find out how you could possibly support her efforts. In the sector that she's doing, there's a lot of things that you could be helping her, or maybe connecting her with the right people. So please, give her a virtual pat on the back. And thank you again, Elica, for joining us. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is almost the end of the second episode of Countdown. And I just want to take a moment and thank you all for joining. If you haven't yet, please click the like button, subscribe, put up comments, message me via Instagram to give feedback. I don't care. We're just trying to improve this program. There's about 8 or 9 Unite and Conquer producers that are putting so much of their volunteer time to make this program happen. And I have a duty and obligation to these uniters that are investing their time to make sure that you all enjoy it and you guys are sharing it and you're helping Countdown grow. As Countdown grows, so will our impact. And you can help it by sharing it, by liking it, by commenting on it. If you're in a position, you can contribute financially. I don't know if it's here right now, but you can Venmo at Unite and Conquer. You can Zelle at info@ Let's Unite and Conquer. We are officially a nonprofit corporation. So you are in good hands in knowing that we are a transparent organization completely dedicated to being the voice of Iranians, uniting Iranians via impactful conversations, digital content, and shows like this. So please, please, please continue to support us if you're interested or if you think that what we're doing brings value. And be sure to follow at Let's Unite and Conquer. Click that follow button. You know the drill. Just help us grow so we can make a bigger impact together. And thank you so much for being part of the family. In closing, I'd like to just obviously thank again Elica, our sponsor, Dr. Rebecca Sherry, Eshraghi, and my mom Mahin, and Shahla Nikpour, and Sareh Kazemi, and Paris Mansouri. And as a closing, we have to honor the victims that we've lost way too soon, the victims that were stripped away of their ability to live a life full of freedom and liberty and peace and serenity. Many people we've lost, and this video created by Diaspora for Iran, we're sharing that, and we're grateful for them for giving us a permission to share it. And so although it's not ending it on a positive note, please know that this is why we're continuing to fight. We're fighting for these individuals that should still be here with us. They should be dancing in the streets. They should be able to sing wherever they want. They should be able to kiss whoever they want, marry whoever they want, and live a life like most likely you and I are living right now outside of Iran. So we have to continue to fight for freedom. We have to continue to fight for freedom in Iran, and we have to continue to honor these victims. On behalf of my entire Unite and Conquer family and the producers, thank you so much for joining. Be Omid Azadi.